Indian blood is one of those things you do because you think you can and maybe you can help.
But I hate to tell you, Mr. White Man, we're still here. If it's 50 years from now, if it's 100 years from now, we'll still be here. So you might as well get used to us and try to learn to live with us, because we're not going anywhere.
There's trouble in Indian Territory. There's trouble here, and there's trouble here. It's about Indian blood, not the kind that's spilled with bows and arrows, with tomahawks and guns. It's about who is an Indian, who's eligible for the millions of dollars in federal money. This is the story of the MOWA Choctaw struggle for federal recognition.
MOWA Choctaw, part of the six-town Choctaw that live, 45 miles north of Mobile, came to a civic club that I belonged to and did a presentation of Indian lore, legend, song, and they talked a little bit about how they had been denied federal recognition as an Indian tribe. And I'm thinking to myself, whoa, the little bit I already knew, that this is nuts, because they were part of the six-tribe Choctaw, and in Philadelphia, Mississippi, they are federally recognized. It's the same group of Native Americans. MOWA stands for Mobile County, Washington County. MOWA, where they live, they straddle the boundary of Mobile County and Washington County in Alabama. So I go up to talk to them, and they didn't trust me at first. I found out later, as one of them said to me, every time we've trusted a white man before, we've ended up with less money or less land or both.
Senate 362 was a bill introduced in the 102nd Congress to provide federal recognition to the MOWA Choctaws.
And as our first witness, I'm pleased to welcome the sponsor of this bill, a very distinguished member of the United States Senate, the Honorable Richard Shelby, Senator from Alabama.
The more that time passes, Mr. Chairman, the more solid my belief is that the claim by the MOWA Choctaws is worthy and factual. I believe they certainly deserve federal recognition.
I decided I might be able to do a documentary, I ended up calling it Indian Blood, because the reason for that title is, what is Indian blood? What is required to be considered for federal recognition? When it was determined that the schools would be integrated, the determination was made, well, let's send the Indian kids to the black schools and say that they're white kids and we won't have to send our kids. At least that was from the perspective of the MOWA Choctaw. Well, as one of them said to me when they got there, one of the black kids said to him, "I'm going to whip your red ass." They weren't any more welcome there, apparently, than they would have been if they'd gone to one of the white schools.
All the old-timers in South Washington County know how they really got their start. It's common knowledge. Whites and blacks cohabiting. Indians? Indeed, what a joke. They are violent and aggressive, can't get along with the whites or blacks.
Was when they had two chemical plants in McIntosh that had both black and whites working there. And whenever we went to the plant, some of our leaders said, look, you got to hire people. They were starving to death. They didn't have anything to eat. And the man told me, well, we don't have a bathroom for y'all. We have a bathroom for the blacks. We have a bathroom for whites. But we don't have a bathroom for Indians.
Well, they look at one of my people, they may have curly hair, or one may have larger lips, or one may be blonde. They don't understand that we do not throw away our relatives. We do not say, look, the camera's coming, you go hide. Bring out the one that looks like an Indian, or looks like a Western Indian, or looks like the one that played Dances with Wolves. We say, this is my brother, this is my cousin, this is my tribe, this is my family. We cannot exclude people because the outside world goes and watches a John Wayne movie, sees Italians with wigs on, and think that all Indians are supposed to look like Italians with wigs on. We will not do that. We will not play it.
All the way up to the 1940s, they were missionary educated. They didn't go to the white schools, they didn't go to the black schools. Missionaries came in, I think they said 3 days a week for 3 hours a day. And that was the formal education that the Native Americans had.
And after the missionaries came in, they helped a lot. They really did, because they helped to educate. They give you that incentive to want education. And everybody's hungry for education, a better way of life, and decency.
That's why I fought so hard to try to give my kids as much education as I possibly could give them, and they could get, because I didn't have the privilege of getting no education, and I felt left out on a lot of that, in which I had a pretty big family, and then and thank the Lord, they all got pretty good education now. They all got pretty good education.
How many children do you have?
11.
11 children?
11 children.
How many of them finished high school?
All of them.
All of them, all 11 of them. Did any of them go off to college?
Just about all of them got a degree in college.
The one remaining school, and this we can take pride in, Calcadiva School was one of the lowest ranked schools of all. And here in recent years, they still teach Indian tradition and a little bit of the Choctaw language, but they went from being one of the lowest rated schools to being one of the highest rated schools. In fact, they did a study there to find out how can other schools emulate what had happened at Calcadiva. What is the reason that they can't get their federal recognition? And I asked some of the members of the Choctaw band, and at first they were a little reluctant to say. And then one of them said to me, well, the Creeks, the Creek Nation, are the only recognized Native Americans in Alabama. And when they petitioned for their federal recognition, they came to us and asked for our support, which we were willing to give. In fact, we have a letter that says, if you will support us when your time comes for recognition, you can count on our support.
The Creeks and Choctaws disagreed long before the white man settled in the area. But the Indian war threatened today is not over territory, but over federal recognition and the money that comes with recognition, and over who is an Indian.
When Tecumseh came down from Detroit, he tried to organize all the Indians against the white man, and they wouldn't go along with it. And then you had battles between different tribes. You had battles against Choctaw against the Creek, Creek against the Chickasaw, Cherokee against each other. They say, well, that's one way how you can tell an Indian, is because they fight each other.
What do you think the Creeks would feel if the BIA said to them, you know, you're the only recognized tribe in Alabama right now. There are 3 times as many Choctaws. If they get recognized, where you've been getting $1, you're going to be getting 25 cents. How do you think, what's the expected reaction that you'd get from the Creeks, just protecting their own interests? Totally predictable, so that when the MOWA Choctaw first asked for recognition, they didn't get the previously promised support. In fact, I went over and I talked with the then chief of the Creeks, and I said, what's the story? And he said to me, we don't think they're really Indians. Unbelievable.
Because I recognize that there is a very distinct community, a very distinct ethnic community over there. And that ethnic community and those people who I consider to be Cajun background and all are some of the lowest economically standing people that I know of anywhere. There is a situation there that definitely needs to be addressed from an economic standpoint, not from a historical perspective.
Nations have been denied, consistently denied, for such things as no written evidence of historical lineage. Really. That lineage was word of mouth. It was never written, certainly not written in English prior to the Europeans coming to settle this part of the country.
Nowhere is the difference between federal recognition and the lack of it more apparent than in the housing that government money will buy.
My name is Helen McGee Hallman. I'm Creek Indian. My father was Levi McGee, which was brother to Calvin McGee, the chief of the Creek Indian Nation.
What do you feel about the amount of government money that's come to the Porch Creeks and how it's been spent?
I think it's well used.
My name is Hattie L. Sullivan, and I've been living here 69 years, and I'm a member of the MOWA Choctaw band.
How many Choctaws do you think that are in need of housing?
Oh, God, I don't know. So many I couldn't count them.
Why do you want one of the new houses?
Because I need it.
You need it.
I need it.
What do you think will be different about the new housing?
I don't know. I guess it'd be better than this thing I live in because it's so cold, you know. It ain't nothing but a barn anyway. You can just look at it and tell what it is.
Now, for a time, the Indians weren't allowed to work in certain jobs, couldn't find work, wouldn't be hired. And I understand that some of the Indians got through those hard times by making moonshine whiskey.
I done that myself.
I imagine you could tell me some stories about moonshine whiskey.
Oh, yeah. And I've made it, me and my husband. We make it. He would sell it, I didn't sell it. But I tell you what I would do. I'd drink it.
You would drink some?
Oh, yeah.
Even though I was unsuccessful, some years after Indian Blood was made, I got invited up to a dinner, a tribal dinner, and they gave me an elder staff, and they also made me an honorary member of the tribe. I cherished that, and at the time they gave it to me, and I probably won't get this exactly right, but this is what they said. These people who economically have so very little, many of them, these people who have been denied equal education, have been living in substandard housing in many cases. These people who owned this land prior to the arrival of the Europeans, they said to me when they made me an honorary member, as long as we have a roof, you will never feel the rain. As long as we have food, you will never be hungry. And the Europeans called these people savages. My question is, who were the savages?